What's going on, everybody? Welcome to your daily astrology horoscope for Wednesday, August 14th, 2024. Astrologer Brian Scarborough here, fixed air moon, keeping the collective fixed on astrology. Appreciate you all very much. Happy hump day. Hope you're all doing well this week. We got a lot going on this week, so I hope you're doing good. I hope you're hanging in there. Um, Taking a look here at the astrology, I mean, this moon in Sag is stressing. God, it's like we come out of this fall moon and like we're ready to expand. We want the jovialness, the thankfulness of Sagittarius, the freedom. And we got to go through this big square to Saturn, and we got to go through this big opposition to to Mars and Jupiter, where Mars is finally past Jupiter in the conjunction. A new cycle is underway. We're going to talk about that more, but like this new cycle is like pulling a lot of emotional strings. And the squares to Saturn with this T square is just making things a lot harder than it needs to be. There's expansion we want. There's individual action that we want to take based on our thought, based on the truth of information that's presented ourselves. And let's not forget about the dispositor of these two, Mars and Jupiter, being Mercury retrograde in a yod with Neptune and Pluto. That's the part of fortune. With Pluto. So there's just like this crazy inner dialogue that I think can be going on in a lot of our lives right now, of trying to understand what this story is going to be, trying to see bigger, trying to explore more, trying to like let go and have some fun. And this Saturn in Pisces is definitely making us, in many ways, like karmically go through a gauntlet of emotion in Pisces, go through a gauntlet of certain bad habits that we have in life. And like, okay, a new story's taking place, information's presented itself, but we can't keep repeating the same stories. We can't keep repeating the same cycles. So we have to have some discipline, and we have to take responsibility, and we're being forced to do that. And if we don't, then it feels like everything's shutting down, and it can feel like emotionally things are shutting down. It can feel like emotionally there's highs and lows, or it's a giant roller coaster of ups and downs. And it's so mental with the moon in Sag, and Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, and Mercury retrograde at 0 degrees and degressing into Leo today, which on the West Coast will be around 1 p.m. Pacific, and on the East Coast right around 4 p.m. Eastern. So there's just so many different thoughts we have to deal with. There's so much expansion we want. There's so much to explore. There's a new story that we're trying to crusade off to. There's truth all around us. And we have to try and process and analyze all these different truths, all this different emotion, all these different things. The sun's trying to have a good time, trying to express itself, show itself, live a little. And the more we do, and the more we take action for a lot of the truth and for the story and the way we get out of bad habits, I mean, it's presenting us with a lot of healing of our individuality, and it's really helping us pioneer the new story and the new cycles. But man, it's intense. And we got a crazy full moon coming in Aquarius when the moon gets there, and it's got to cross Pluto first, and it's going to be a big T square to Uranus, and the sun's starting to square Uranus. So there's just high energy, high electricity. It can feel like the energy is suppressing us from the freedom we want. It can feel like the energy is making the story more complicated than it needs to be. And it's not that it's not complicated, it's just the way out is through some form of like discipline. Expansion right now comes through us taking proper actions for truths in our environment, in our own lives, in our relationships, in our jobs, and really taking it for what it is, and not being afraid, using that sun in Leo to courageously expand and to go forward with what's better for us, and not repeating cycles or doing things over again that we've already learned, had maybe its moment of truth, but it's not the truth anymore. And that's very emotionally complicated on a day like this. And Venus is at 11 degrees of Virgo. It's starting to be in a 5-degree orb to the square with Jupiter, to the square with Mars. Like, we have to be careful about overindulging right now. I feel like Saturn's helping with that in this process, but or even like self-deprecating, like these like a lot of like thoughts of maybe not, or like sort of like guilty intentions on ourselves. We need to be careful of those things and like trying to keep things more pure, more beautiful. Take action to clean things up. If money's not right, well, let's figure out a plan and get money right. Let's not just impulsively, do something crazy. Don't spend all your money on lottery tickets right now. Don't spend all your money on some substance that isn't going to further what you need. Also with relationships, are relationships based in purity? Are they beautiful? Do they have like working? Is it working? Is it working in your life? Does it fit the routine? Is it pure? Or is it crusty? Is it mean? Is it overly critical? A lot of these things are something to be paying attention to also, and this moon's feeling so much of it. Jupiter's amplifying so much of our identity, our emotions, our actions, and it's beautiful, and we have to consciously kind of like with discipline choose to put this energy into the right creative pursuits, into the right expansion, because if we're putting that energy into expansion that is not healthy or pure or good for us, it's just going to create more of this inner I want to say a word that starts with a T, but I can't pronounce it, so I guess I'm just not going to. Because I can't pronounce it right now. I can't figure out the right way to say it, but turmoil. This inner turmoil of how to get out of situations, of how to take care of ourselves better. I don't know. It's critical. It's hypercritical, hypersensitive, hyper emotional. So we don't want to beat ourselves up. We got to figure out some way to clear the mind. We have to have some sense of release. And I think the freedom ultimately comes through quieting the mind, getting back into our creative centers, our heart, even our sacral, if you will, with Mars here, and like doing the right actions to get better results and to not slip down a dark rabbit hole that we've already slipped down so many different times, just so that we can get to the bottom of that rabbit hole and beat ourselves up again and be harsh. Because when Mercury comes back into Leo, like the focus is going to be right back on us. I mean, it's definitely, paying attention here in Virgo in this yaw in the last minute intensely, but also with Neptune it's like intensely but loosely, which is not good for discipline action, right? And Saturn's kind of demanding that from us. And it's definitely a big Wednesday. A lot of things are ready to get going, but like we could do better. We can all do a little bit better. We're all growing every day. So it's a good Wednesday to kind of reach that point in the day where it's like, gosh, I've been doing this so many times and I'm not satisfied. I'm not happy. It's just bringing my vibe down. Why am I doing this? And in the moment, maybe it doesn't feel that way, but even after the fact, we have to pay attention to those things because this is a great opportunity to get out of that story, get out of that truth, and expand into the truth of what's more pure, what's better, and what's going to be the healthier way forward for the most productive version of you, for the life that you want, for the life that you want to love, that you want to bring, that you want to create. So, big Wednesday for us all. Big. And I've said it a million times. That's a lie. It hasn't been a million times, but I mean, I've said it a lot. Like this Jupiter and Mars conjunction in Gemini hasn't happened in Gemini since 1989. So it's been 35 years. And that story of the way we act on our beliefs and on the facts presented in front of us, it's all changing. And I think that that's a big evolution and a big growth. And There's a lot of wisdom that we've gained through those 35 years, but now it's like we got to do it bigger and better so that we can go off to this next crusade in a very like powerful, like self-empowering fashion. It's North Node Aries. Like we don't want to be forced by others to do that. We have to figure out on our own the best way forward and how to put that best foot forward and how to think independently with Mars and Jupiter in Gemini, how to think independently and strongly for ourselves. Remember, Mars disposits that North Node, so it's a really big amplifier to that North Node, which wants to really pioneer something special for your own identity and have you take charge of your identity. And I think we're getting great opportunities for that on this Wednesday and just this week in general, but especially with that Saturn moon square. We can want to be wild and free, but is that really the best thing right now? Maybe for some it is. But for some of us, we need to get back on the grind a little bit. Judgment. Oh my God. Feels like a judgment type of day. Like we're being judged. But again, whether we're being judged or not, there's something calling you to respond differently and to kind of like awaken you. You got to listen to that, and you got to be responsible enough to act on it and do the right thing so that you can definitely take the ascension path right now instead of the descending path in your life. So it's a good opportunity to ascend today. It's a good opportunity to hear the callings. So it's interesting. The calling's going to come in the form, like it's got a trumpet on this, but I don't think it's going to be loud. I feel like it's going to be more of a whisper. And you got to listen to that whisper. And I think it'll serve you all very well. I love you all. Have a beautiful Wednesday, and I'll see you all tomorrow. Much love. Peace.